Every time I touch the camera, it just moves and it doesn't stay still. Okay, fine. It's finally still. I really should be studying right now. I bet every single one of my classmates are studying right now, but I'm literally 6 films away from having seen 1,300 movies, so I thought I would feel better if I saw 6 movies than to study right now. Then like there's this little slight burden off of me. At least that's what I feel like I would feel. So let's go on with the movie review. Bicycle Thieves. Easily one of the most famous films ever. It's always on almost everybody's greatest movies list. Usually at the near top, it's considered as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Italian film ever. It influenced so many directors. Some famous, some crappy, but it's very much so a universally acclaimed film. And why not? The director, Vittorio de Sica, is easily one of the most important neo-realist filmmakers ever. The fact that he brought authenticity to cinema, at least he's one of the people who brought authenticity to cinema, is definitely something that you should praise. With this film, in fact, he didn't use professional actors. He dubbed the voices with some professional actors, not all actors, but some of the performances. But the acting you see on screen is done by people that he got from the streets. That's some authentic filmmaking right there. That's some passion put into it. And he also influenced the French New Wave. He also influenced the American New Wave. So, obviously, you kind of have to give a hand to him. And this film is supposed to be his masterpiece. And I see why it's a masterpiece. I'm not sure if I can say it's one of my favorite movies now, but it's definitely, I'm just going to say the rating right now, it's definitely a 4 out of 4 film, and here's why. The first third of the film is really just simple build-up. If the film was simply the first third, it wouldn't really be a great film. Not much happens. You see the bike getting stolen, and it's heartbreaking, but nothing's really established at that point. You see people crying, you see people being devastated, but nothing really hits you that hard yet. But the setting is totally set. Like, everybody's in the streets, everybody's angry, everybody's tense, everybody wants to get a job, everybody just is so hungry for work. Some people are just going to psychics for any kind of hope. The setting of a tragic poor society is already set in the first third of the film. So basically, the first third is just to establish the mood, and the build-up starts there. Now the film starts, as we go into the middle third, the film starts to show our main characters trying to search for the bike. And obviously, it's a very frustrating process, and as a viewer, you kind of start to get angry at all the people around them, because they're just trying to find the bike. This bike basically represents their livelihood. But people are accusing him for falsely accusing others. People are being annoyed by him because he's trying to talk to people. He's trying to get answers out of people. And the people are just saying, oh, just mind your own business. And you just get so frustrated because with this character's story. You were so invested in finding this bike too. And you kind of thought, hey, maybe they'll find the bike because, it's just a bike. But when you really learn how much, and when you see just how much this character has invested his life into the fact that they will find this bike, when you realize that, you just get into it so much more. And the climate they basically created in this film becomes so frustrating and so anger-inducing because it's like everybody's against him. In fact, even the law, even the church feels like it's against him, and it's absolutely devastating to watch. But at the same time, they don't, villainize the society they live in. The film doesn't do that. In fact, if anything, it shows why these people are angry and frustrated, and why the character is also angry and frustrated, and why we should understand the character's point of view, but also why we should understand the society's point of view. Everybody's depraved of their livelihood. Everybody's hungry. Everybody just wants to bring dinner to the table. Everybody is in the same position as the main character. So when they get accused, they feel frustrated as well. So they react violently. That way, nobody really wins. Nobody's really the hero or the villain here. And that point of view really makes the realistic and the authentic element of the film come to life. And when you see the people in the streets, as the film progresses, you realize the main character is just one of them. And you also realize that the story of this main character is probably happening to another person right at that very moment. This is just another person in the crowd, in the town. It's nothing special. And you start to realize a really sad fact. This guy is probably not going to end up having a great life. We're not going to see him having a happy ending because the other people are not having a happy ending as well. The fact that we care about this character and that we don't care about the other people in the setting of the town or the place, I'm not sure where it's set exactly. Is it Rome? I think it might be Rome, but I'm not sure. The fact that we care about this character, but we don't care about the other people in the streets, basically makes us hypocrites. And the film is so good at pointing out that this is everybody's problem. This is not just the main character struggling. It's everybody's struggle. And the end of the film basically becomes that climax of that emotion, because at the end of the film, the main character, so depraved of life and hope, basically tries to steal a bike. And although his bike was successfully stolen, he gets caught. And the moment that he gets caught, your heart just gets ripped apart. You see his face. You see how even he realizes what he's doing. He realizes the same thing that the audience is realizing, that he is now a hypocrite. A hypocrite who tried to steal another man's livelihood just to save his. He became he became so self-absorbed in this moment of his agony that even he forgot about what other people are going through. And it's just a devastating moment. But it also shines a light because the film's not overly negative about this society. There's this one guy, the guy who got his bike stolen, comes up to the main character and he's about to say something, but he sees the main character's son crying right next to him. And the guy who got his bike stolen says, "You know what, just let him go." So you see that these people understand each other, and there are moments where they get overly frustrated, so they do certain they go for drastic measures to the extent of destroying other people's lives as well. But there are people who understand this as well, so it's not just this whole cycle of evil going on. There is hope. There are people who acknowledge this problem. The main character probably also does, but he was so emotionally frustrated that he had to do it. And when you see that happen, you realize that this film is not trying to be preachy, it's not trying to be narcissistic, it's not trying to be cynical, it's just portraying this world that is very much so real to you in a very raw form of passion. And when you see the character just walk away from the crime scene that he created, and when you see the character look at his son, and when you see him just walking away with tears coming from his eyes, you feel that pain. You know that this guy is having a terrible moment. You know that this guy is feeling that he's a hypocrite. But as he walks away into the crowd, and as the music plays, the music that would probably be in like a very classic Chaplin movie, very sad and very lonely, as it plays as he goes into the crowd, and as the film fades, you realize this is just another story, another day, another man in a bunch of people who are going through the same ordeal in this society and in this period of time in Italy. So it's an extremely authentic film. It's very emotionally, indulging. I'm not sure if I love it as much because it's my first viewing. I'm not sure if I love it right away. It's not like other movies, but I'm pretty sure I'll come back to it later on. It's definitely a 4 out of 4. Maybe a future masterpiece. For now, let's say it's 4 out of 4. Basically, check it out. You gotta check it out anyways. It's an important film. So yeah, The Bicycle Thieves, 4 out of 4. Bye.